Very happy to meet you all in this video lecture on course code U18 PCIT 401 Web Programming. And I am Dr. B. Dhanlakshmi, Professor, Department of Information Technology, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research, delivering this lecture. And today we are going to see Unit 3 topic Java Beans and JDBC. So first we will see what is Java Beans concept. A Java Bean is a reusable software component model which is based on Sun's Java Bean specification, which can be manipulated visually in a builder tool. So this reusable software component called Bean, which is used to describe how to create and reuse that to build an application. So builder tool, an application development tool which lets you both to create a new beans or use existing beans to create an application. So we can create new beans or even you can use the existing beans for creating an application. So to enrich the software systems by adopting component technology, Java came up with the concept called Java Beans. So Java provides the facility of creating some user-defined components using Bean programming. So this Java Beans is just developing a reusable software component which can be built on the application. And what are the advantages of Java Beans? Java Beans possess the property of write once and run anywhere. As we all know, Java has the feature, right, architecture neutral. That is, we can write the code in one platform and you can run the code in any platform. So the same property is applicable to Java Beans also. So Beans can work in different local platforms and beans have the capability of capturing the events which are sent by some other objects and even it can communicate between the objects. So message passing or object communication is the main feature in Java Beans. And the properties, events and methods of the bean can be controlled by the application developer. That is add new properties and such properties can also be implemented in Bean concept. And Java Beans can be configured with the help of auxiliary software during design time. So the configuration setting here in Java Beans can be made persistent, that is reused after storing it. And now we will see the basic rules in Java Beans. So Java Bean component should be public and it should implement serializable interface and it should have a no argument constructor and it can be derived from javax.swing.j component or java.awt.component if it is visual. The classes and interfaces defined in the java.beans package enable you to create Java Beans. And the Java Bean components can exist in one of the following three phases of development. So the three phases here in Java Bean component are construction phase, build phase, and execution phase. So this supports the standard component architecture which covers up the four features listed here: properties, events, methods, and persistence. And now we will see the Java Beans component specification. So Java Beans always provides support for two main factors. The number one, introspection, which analyze, that is, it allows the automatic analysis of Java Beans. And the second factor is customization, which make it easy to configure a Java Beans component. And next, we are going to see in detail about the Java Bean component specification. So the customization here will allow the properties to get changed in the build phase and the execution phase. So it's the ability of the Java Bean to allow such changes and thus customizing the software component. And the next specification is persistence, which is the ability of the Java Bean to save its own state to disk or storage device, and thus restoring the saved state when the Java Bean is reloaded. And the next component here specification is communication. That is the ability of the object to notify the change in its properties to other Java Bean component or the other container. And next is introspection, which is the ability of the Java Bean to allow an external application to query the properties, methods, and events supported by it. And now we will see the features of Java Beans. So as we already saw, the first and main feature is introspection. That is, the builder tool can analyze how a Java Bean works. And next feature is customization, where we allow the appearance and the behavior of the bean to get changed. And next is support for the events. That is, a simple communication is developed from one component to another Java Bean component. And this is mainly for connecting the beans. And the next feature is support for properties, both for customization and for programmatic use. And the last property is support for persistence, so that a bean can be saved and restored its customized state so that it can be reused in future. And now we will see the steps to develop a user-defined Java bean. So first step we have to do is create a directory for the new bean or the new software component we are going to develop. And the second step is create the Java Bean source file. And the third step is compile the source file, followed by create a manifest file and then generate a jar file. And next we are going to start the BDK. And next load the jar file. And at last test the source file. And now we will see the properties of Java Beans. First, we will see simple properties. So simple properties mean it refers to the private variables of the Java Beans which has only a single value. And the simple properties are retrieved and specified using the get and the set methods respectively. And next is Boolean properties, where the property used represent the values true or false. Let n be the name of the property and t be the type of the value. Then the methods can be given as public Boolean is the return type is n. So we are just checking whether the property is true or not. And next function given is public void set n, and in the argument we are giving the Boolean input parameter. So we are going to set either true or false to the particular property n. And the last function is public Boolean get n. That is, we are going to get the current state of the property. If the property is set, then you will get the Boolean value as true. If the property is not set, then we will get the Boolean value as false. And next is indexed properties. The indexed properties consist of multiple values. And if a simple property can hold an array of value, they are no longer called simple, but instead indexed properties. So if you have an array of values, then we go for index properties. An index property may expose set or get methods to read or write one element in the array. That is, index getter or setter to get the property or set the property, and or so-called array getter or setter, which read or write the entire array. And next we'll see about the bound properties. A bean that has a bound property generates an event when the property is changed. And next is constraint properties. It generates an event when an attempt is made to change its values. And now we will see how to handle events in Java Beans. So this enables Bean to communicate and connect together. And beans generate events, and these events can be sent to other objects. So the events one generated in one object will be communicated to the other object for the response. An event means any activity that interrupts the current ongoing activity. And we can have so many examples for the event like mouse click, mouse press, and pressing key, etc. And now we will start with JDBC. So what is JDBC? Java Database Connectivity. So JDBC API, that is Application Programming Interface, is a Java API that can access any kind of tabular data. So we normally store data for our reference, and we can store the data in any form. So it can be relational or the tabular form. So this Java API, JDBC API, can access any kind of tabular data. And especially this tabular data gets stored in the relational database. And always in relational database, the data can be retrieved using SQL, that is structured query language. So we can apply queries to get the data from the relational database. And JDBC helps to write Java applications that manage the following programming activities. First is it connects to the data source like a database. And after connecting to the data source, it sends queries and update statements to the database. And the retrieve and process the results received from the database in answer to the query. So first we connect to the data source, and then we send queries and update the statements to the database, and at last we retrieve the result and process the result that we receive from the database when applying the query. And now we will see the JDBC product components. So what first component we are going to see is JDBC API, that is Java Database Connectivity Application Programming Interface. JDBC API provides programmatic access to relational data from the Java programming language. Using the JDBC API, applications can execute SQL statements, then retrieve the results, and then propagate the changes back to the underlying data source. So once we apply the SQL statements or the queries, the results will be retrieved from the database. And the JDBC API can also interact with multiple data sources in a distributed or heterogeneous environment. So we have a heterogeneous environment where multiple data sources of different type can be stored. So the JDBC API can interact with such multiple data sources by applying the queries. And JDBC API is part of the Java platform, which includes Java Standard Edition, which is called as Java SE, and Java Enterprise Edition, which is called as Java EE. And this JDBC API is divided mainly into two packages. That is java.sql package and java.x.sql package. And both packages are included in Java SE and Java EE platforms. So this JDBC API will be a part of the Java platform, and it includes the packages, that is Java Standard Edition environment and Java Enterprise Edition environment. And two packages used are java.sql and java.x.sql, mainly for retrieving the data from the data sources. And now we will see JDBC Driver Manager, the second component. The JDBC Driver Manager class defines the objects clearly, which can connect the Java applications to a JDBC driver. The Driver Manager has traditionally been the backbone of the JDBC architecture. And this is mainly responsible for connecting the Java application, that is front-end applications, to the back-end JDBC driver. And the standard extension packages Java X.naming, that is Java X.sql, make to use a data source object which are registered with a Java naming and a directory interface JNDI naming service to establish a connection with the data source. And the third component we are going to see is JDBC test suite. So the JDBC driver test suite helps to determine that JDBC drivers will run the program. So this test suite is mainly responsible to test whether the program runs on the driver or not. And next, the component we will see about JDBC ODBC bridge. And this Java Software Bridge provides JDBC access via ODBC driver. So this JDBC means Java Database Connectivity access via ODBC, Open Database Connectivity drivers. That is, it connects the database drivers to the database. And the first two of these four JDBC components are mainly used to connect to a database and then build a Java program that uses SQL commands to communicate with a test relational database. So SQL commands or the SQL queries may play the main role to communicate with the backend, that is relational database or the data source. The last two components are used mainly in specialized environments to test the web applications or to communicate with ODBC aware DBMS. And this is the JDBC architecture, and we have 2-tier and 3-tier architecture, and the JDBC API supports here for database access. And in the figure, we have given the 2-tier architecture for data access. And in 2-tier architecture, we have DBMS, that is database server, and then the JDBC, which is mainly connecting the Java application on the client machine. And we use the DBMS proprietary protocol to access the data from the data source. And here given the 3-tier architecture for data access. And here we have extra one tier, that is business logic. Okay, so here the database server is there, which can be heterogeneous system, that is multiple data sources can be present, and which connects with the JDBC, that is Java Database Connectivity with the application server, which is developed using Java language. And this server machine, that is represented as business logic, then connects to the client machine, that is graphical user interface, through which the user, that is customers or the clients, will interact. And that phase will have the Java applet or the HTML browser can be used to develop the Java application. And here the protocol to connect the DBMS and the application server can be any appropriate protocol, and the protocols which are used for connecting the application server and the HTML can be either HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or RMI or CORBA or other calls. And now we will see the JDBC architectural diagram. And you can see the upper end here is the Java application front end which the user can see, through which the user can interact, and followed by it, the second component here is JDBC API, Java Database Connectivity Application Programming Interface, which links the Java application, front-end application which is on the client side, with the backend, that is data source. And here the JDBC driver manager is mainly responsible for connecting the API with the data source. And the data sources are directed by the JDBC driver. And this JDBC driver will be unique for the different types of data sources. And the different types of data sources are given at the lower end, which can be Oracle, SQL Server, or ODBC data source. And now we will see the JDBC API, which provides the following interfaces and classes. So what are the interfaces and classes used in JDBC? First is driver manager class. And these classes we are going to use in the program when we implement the JDBC concept. So the first and foremost class, driver manager, manages a list of database drivers. And this matches the connection request from the Java application with the proper database driver using communication subprotocol. The first driver that recognizes a certain subprotocol under JDBC will be used to establish a database connection. And the second class we have listed here is driver. This interface, so here driver is an interface which handles the communications with the database server. The interaction directly with driver objects are very rare. So instead, the driver manager objects are used. And this manages the objects of the similar type. And this also abstracts the details associated with working with driver objects. So this driver interface is mainly for establishing connections or communication with the database server. And the next interface is connection interface. And this connection interface is with all methods for connecting or contacting a database. The connection object represents the communication context where we can communicate from one object to another object. Here we can connect the front end with the database. So all communication with database is through this connection object only. So this connection object is mainly responsible for communication with the database. And the next class is statement. So using objects created from this interface to submit the SQL statements to the database. So this statement interface is mainly used for submitting the SQL queries or the statements to the database. And some derived interfaces accept the parameters in addition to executing the stored procedure. So this statement interface is responsible for submitting the queries that we are writing to retrieve the data from the database, and these queries are submitted through the statement interface, that is statement object, to the database. And next is the result set. And these objects hold the data retrieved from a database after executing an SQL query using the statement objects. Once the SQL query is submitted to the statement object to the database through the statement object to the database, The result set can retrieve the result, that is output of the query from the database after execution of the query. It acts as an iterator to allow to move through its data. So this result set is responsible for retrieving the output from the database after the query execution. And at last, we'll see the SQL exception, which can handle any kind of errors that are generated that occur in the database application. So when you try to access the data from a database from a given specific location, but in that location, when the database is not present, then it creates an exception. So such exceptions can be handled, okay, using this SQL exception class. And the packages what we are using here in JDBC are java.sql and javax.sql. So java.sql package contains API for the following. So what are they? Making a connection with the database via driver manager facility. And next is we use the statement object to send the SQL statements to the database. And next is retrieving and updating the results of a query using the result set object. And next is standard mappings for SQL types to classes and interfaces in the Java programming language. So we map this SQL type to the classes. And next is custom mapping and SQL user-defined type to a class in the Java programming language. And this java.sql package also have the metadata and the exceptions. And now we will see the program for JDBC connectivity. So first we have to import java.sql. So this java.sql is responsible to include the classes called driver manager, connection, statement interface, result sets. All these are present in java.sql package. So if you are not importing the java.sql package, you cannot use the classes and you cannot connect to the data sources. So this importing statement is compulsorily should be given when you are going for JDBC connectivity based programs. So what is the package name? Java.sql. And we are defining a class. So the class name here is my database, my DBase. And the main function is declared inside this class. So here the file name should be as same as the class name, that is mydbase.java. And now we are going into the program where you are going to develop a connection with the database and apply the query to retrieve the data from the database and then get the output through the result set object from the database and display it. So there are chances of exceptions in these statements. So we are keeping everything here in the try block. So first statement here is to create a new instance for the particular data source. And next is you're creating a path where my data source is present. So that location path, you're storing it in a string variable. And next is we are going to develop a connection using the driver manager class with the data source. So the connection object is created and which is linked to the driver manager using the get connection function where you are specifying the path of the data source which we have defined already in the previous statement. And next we are going to give the query. So for that we need to create a statement object. So the statement object here is yes, and here we are creating the statement. And what is the variable? So here string selection table, and you are going to select all the data from the database. And now we are going to execute the query. So s.execute of this string variable, that is selection table. You are selecting all the data from the employee. And next you are collecting all the result in the result set object rs. And if the result set is not null and you are going to move to the each and every row data in the result set, you're having the iteration so that you are retrieving each and every data and you're going to display it. Once we display all the data, once there is no data in the result set, you're going to close the connection and close the query statement object also. So once if any exception is thrown, we are going to receive it in the catch handler and you're going to print the exception. So you can just execute the program and the database, my database one, we have the following datas, that is 201 PSI, 221 KSK and 222 CUL. So these data will be retrieved from the data source and displayed here in the client side. So this is how we run the JDBC connectivity program. Thank you and we'll meet in the next lecture.